Hello, everyone. When I close my eyes and think of Mongolia, I see endless skies, so wide and blue that they seem to never end. Beneath that sky, there are families who still live the way their ancestors did for centuries. They move with the seasons, following their animals across mountains, rivers, and grasslands. These people are the last nomads of Mongolia. I imagine what it would be like to wake up in a felt tent called a jur, where the air smells of wood smoke and the sound of sheep bells drifts in. Instead of living in one house forever, they carry their homes with them, taking everything they own on horseback or by camel. Isn't that amazing? The life of the nomads is not easy. Winters are bitter and the winds are strong, yet they stay close to their herds. Yaks, horses, camels, goats, and sheep. The animals are not just food or clothing, they are family. The bond between the nomads and their animals is full of trust and care. Even though modern cities grow larger every day, the nomads keep their traditions alive. They tell stories under the stars, they play the horse, head fiddle, and they race horses across the steppe. Their way of life teaches us something very important, that we can live close to nature and still find joy, courage, and freedom. But there are fewer nomads now. Some families move to the cities, looking for schools and jobs. Sometimes I wonder, if the last nomads disappear, will we lose more than just a lifestyle? Will we also lose a part of human history, a way of being free under the open sky? That is why the last nomads of Mongolia are so special. They remind us that our world is not only made of buildings and roads. It is also made of wild rivers, rolling grasslands, and people who choose to live with them, not against them. So, when I think of the last nomads, I don't feel sadness. I feel respect. And I hope that even if the world changes, the spirit of the nomads will always remain. Wild, brave, and free. Thank you. When I think about the endless skies of Mongolia and the moving homes of the nomads, I imagine a place where the horizon stretches so far that it feels like the earth and sky are holding hands in the distance. The sky in Mongolia is not like the sky in crowded cities filled with tall buildings and lights. It is wide and open, with clouds drifting slowly like white ships on a blue ocean. Sometimes it is filled with sunshine, turning the grasslands golden and bright, and other times it carries storms that sweep across the steppe with winds so strong they seem to shake the earth. Under this enormous sky live people who are always on the move, never tied to one place for too long, carrying their entire world with them. Their homes are not built of bricks and wood, but of felt, poles, and ropes. These round homes are called jurs. To someone who has never seen one, a jur might look small from the outside, but inside it feels warm and safe. The walls are lined with felt made from sheep's wool, thick enough to keep out the freezing winds of winter and cool enough to provide shade in summer. At the center of the jur, there is usually a stove where the fire burns. The smoke rises through a hole in the roof, which can also be opened to let in sunlight during the day or closed tightly at night. Everything in the jur has its own place. Beds line the sides, colorful carpets and blankets brighten the walls, and the family's most precious belongings are carefully arranged in order. The most wonderful thing about a jur is that it can be taken down, packed up, and moved to a new place. Nomadic families travel with the seasons, and their homes travel with them. When the grass becomes short and the animals have eaten their fill, the family loads the jur onto camels or ox, drawn carts. They tie the poles, roll up the felt, and carefully balance everything so that nothing falls along the journey. Then they ride away across the steppe, looking for greener pastures and fresh water for their herds. Once they find the right spot, they rebuild the jur, and within just a few hours, it stands again, strong and ready to shelter them. This way of life means that nomads are never trapped in one place. Their home is not the land under their feet, but the space they carry with them. Imagine how different this feels compared to living in a house that never moves, in a neighborhood that never changes. The nomads wake up in one valley, where mountains tower above them, and a few months later they may open their eyes to a wide river plain or a forest edge where wildflowers bloom. For children growing up in this life, the world is a constant adventure. Each place has its own beauty and its own challenges. Some places are rich with grass for the animals, while others are dry and harsh. But wherever they go, the juror makes it possible to belong. The endless skies above and the moving homes below create a balance that feels almost magical. The sky is always changing, but it is always there, and the home changes its place but remains the same. The nomads live in harmony with this rhythm, trusting the land, the weather, and their animals to guide them. The sight of their white jurs scattered across the green steppe, with smoke curling into the air and horses grazing nearby, is a reminder of how deeply connected they are to the earth and sky. Their moving homes allow them to live with freedom, never tied down, always ready for the next journey. The nomads of Mongolia share a bond with their animals and with nature that is unlike anything found in city life, a bond so strong that it shapes every part of their daily existence. Their animals are not just possessions or resources, but companions, helpers, and even protectors. Horses are perhaps the most important of all. In Mongolia, a child learns to ride almost as soon as they can walk. Horses are trusted to carry people across vast distances, to chase after stray sheep, to help move herds, and to race during celebrations. A Mongolian nomad's horse is not only a means of travel, but a symbol of freedom. Many stories and songs celebrate the loyalty and courage of these animals, showing how deeply they are loved and respected. Alongside the horses are yaks and camels, strong animals that make survival possible in a land where winters are bitter and summers are scorching. Yaks provide milk that can be turned into cheese and yogurt, and their wool is spun into warm clothing to withstand freezing nights. Camels are treasured in the Gobi Desert, able to carry heavy loads across dry, sandy stretches where few other animals could survive. Their ability to store water and endure harsh conditions means that families can move even in places where the landscape seems empty and unforgiving. To the nomads, each animal has a spirit and a value that goes far beyond its physical use. Sheep and goats are also at the heart of nomadic life. Their wool provides felt for the jurs, warm blankets for the long winter, and clothing that protects against both the cold and the wind. Their milk is made into foods that sustain the family when crops cannot be grown. Every day, the children help herd the goats and sheep, guiding them to green pastures and keeping them safe from wolves. The rhythm of life is set by the movement of the herds. When the grass runs short, it is time to pack up and follow the animals to richer grazing grounds. The animals, in turn, depend on the people to protect them, guide them, and care for them when they are sick or weak. It is a relationship of mutual trust and responsibility. This connection extends beyond the animals to the natural world itself. The nomads know the land better than anyone. They can read the clouds to predict rain, feel the winds to sense a coming storm, and study the grass to decide where to move next. The land is not seen as something to conquer or own, but as a partner in survival. Water sources are treated with care, and sacred places in the landscape are respected as homes of spirits. The respect for nature is passed down through stories and traditions, reminding each generation that they are only guests on the earth, not masters of it. Daily routines show this relationship clearly. At dawn, the family rises to milk the animals. The sound of hooves, bells, and lowing fills the air as the animals gather. The children laugh as they ride their ponies bareback, helping to keep the herds together. The elders share advice about which valley might be greener or which mountain pass is safe. Every action is guided by the needs of the animals, and in return, the animals provide everything the family requires to live. It is a circle that has been unbroken for centuries, and it continues to define the identity of the nomadic people. What makes this bond so unique is the closeness of the nomads to their animals. They name their horses, they sing to their herds, and they tell legends of wolves and eagles as if they were part of the family too. A boy may whisper secrets into his horse's ear, trusting it more than his closest friend. A girl may carry a baby goat in her arms, protecting it from the cold as if it were her own sibling. These moments show how the relationship is not only practical but also emotional. The nomads see themselves as part of nature, not apart from it, and that belief shapes their entire world. The traditions of the Mongolian nomads are filled with stories, music, and celebrations that keep their culture alive across generations, and each of these traditions carries the spirit of open steppe. Storytelling is one of the oldest and most important parts of their way of life. When the day's work is done and the animals are safely gathered, families sit together inside the warm glow of the jur, and elders share tales of heroes, battles, spirits, and journeys. These stories are not only for entertainment, they teach children lessons about courage, respect, and the importance of living in harmony with nature. Some stories are about epic journeys of ancient warriors, while others are about animals who speak with wisdom and guide humans through challenges. Listening to these tales, children learn about their ancestors and feel connected to a history that stretches back many centuries. Music is another treasure that flows through the lives of the nomads. The most famous instrument of Mongolia is the morin kuur, or horse, head fiddle. It has a carved horse's head at the top of its neck, and its sound is unlike any other, deep and haunting, almost like the wind moving across the steppe. People say the sound of the morin kuur can carry the spirit of a galloping horse, which shows how deeply horses are tied to their culture. Nomadic families gather to sing traditional songs, some joyful and full of energy, others slow and filled with longing. These songs often echo the wide open spaces, their melodies rising and falling like the rolling hills and endless horizons. Music is not just for celebrations. It is also for prayer, for remembering loved ones, and for keeping company during the quiet nights. Horse racing is one of the most exciting traditions among the nomads, and it begins at a very young age. Children as young as 5 or 6 are trained to ride racing horses, and their courage and skill are admired by everyone. The races are not like short sprints on city tracks but long, distance rides that test both the endurance of the horse and the bravery of the child rider. During Naadam, the great summer festival of Mongolia, horse racing is one of the 3 main sports, along with wrestling and archery. Families prepare their best horses for months, feeding them carefully and training them with patience. On race day, the air is filled with excitement as children ride bareback across the steppe, the thundering of hooves echoing through the land. Winning a race is not only a personal victory but an honor for the entire family, showing the strength of their horse and their skills in raising it. Traditions are also tied closely to the seasons. In winter, families gather to share special foods made from milk and meat, keeping warm around the stove while the winds howl outside. In spring, when animals give birth and the grass returns, celebrations mark the renewal of life. Summer is the time for travel and festivals, when families meet with others, exchange goods, and take part in competitions. Autumn is for preparing for the cold months ahead, drying meat, storing dairy products, and blessing the herds to protect them through the snow. Each season brings its own customs, songs, and rituals, and together they weave the rhythm of life for the nomadic people. Respect for ancestors and spirits is another part of their traditions. Sacred mountains, rivers, and trees are honored with offerings of milk or silk scarves, called kadeg, tied to branches or stones. Families believe that spirits of nature watch over them and their animals, and giving thanks ensures safety and prosperity. Before setting out on a journey, offerings are made for protection, and when a family moves to a new pasture, they show respect to the land they will live on. These small acts of faith reflect the deep connection between the people, their traditions, and the natural world around them. Even in daily tasks, traditions shine through. When guests visit a jur, they are welcomed with great hospitality. The host offers bowls of milk tea or fermented mare's milk, called ereg, and it is considered impolite to refuse. Hospitality is not just kindness but a deeply rooted custom, as life on the steppe can be harsh, and travelers may depend on the generosity of strangers to survive. Sharing food, stories, and laughter strengthens the bonds between families and ensures that traditions are passed on with warmth and joy. Life for the nomads of Mongolia is full of challenges that test their strength, patience, and resilience every single day. And the greatest of these challenges often comes from the natural world itself. Winters in Mongolia are some of the harshest in the world, with temperatures dropping far below freezing, sometimes reaching -40 degrees. The winds sweep across the steppe with such force that they can feel like knives cutting through layers of clothing. During these months, families rely on their stores of dried meat, milk products, and fat to survive. The animals, which provide food, clothing, and transport, must also endure the cold, and many herders spend long hours making sure that their herds are safe from snowstorms and icy winds. A single harsh winter, known as a diz-ud, can wipe out entire herds, leaving families with little to live on. Facing this kind of danger year after year requires a level of courage and endurance that few people outside the steppe can truly understand. Another challenge comes in the form of the changing seasons, which bring not only beauty but also uncertainty. Spring is a time of renewal, but it can also be dangerous because the weather shifts suddenly, with warm days followed by unexpected snow. This is the season when animals give birth, and newborn calves, foals, and lambs are vulnerable to the cold. Families often spend sleepless nights watching over their herds, bringing weak young animals into the jur to keep them warm by the fire. Summer brings longer days and more grass, but it also means long journeys to find the best pastures, moving the jur, and protecting animals from insects and disease. Autumn is a time for hard work, drying meat and preparing food stores for the winter, and every mistake can cost dearly once the snow arrives. Modern life also brings new challenges to the nomadic way. Cities grow larger, and more young people are leaving the steppe to search for education and jobs. While this gives them opportunities, it also means that many families lose the extra hands they need to manage their herds. The pull of modern conveniences, like electricity, schools, and healthcare, often competes with the hardships of herding life. Some nomads struggle with this balance, trying to give their children better futures while also holding on to their traditions. The fear of losing their culture to modern change weighs heavily on many families, as the number of nomads slowly decreases each year. The land itself presents challenges that are becoming harder to face. Overgrazing and desertification threaten the steppe, as growing populations of animals eat away at the grass faster than it can grow back. Dust storms have become more frequent in some areas, turning fertile ground into dry, cracked earth. Climate change brings unpredictable weather, making winters harsher and summers drier. Nomads who have survived in harmony with nature for centuries now face new problems that cannot always be solved with traditional knowledge. Adapting to these changes requires creativity and strength, but it also brings worry about whether the land can continue to support their way of life. Isolation is another difficulty that shapes nomadic life. Families live far apart, sometimes many miles from their nearest neighbor. When someone becomes sick or injured, it can take hours or even days to reach medical help. Communication is limited, and even though some families now carry mobile phones, the vast steppe has many places without signal. Children who grow up in this isolation often have to travel far from home to attend school, living in dormitories and seeing their families only a few times a year. For parents, this separation is painful, yet it is necessary if their children are to receive an education. The loneliness of the steppe can be beautiful, with stars filling the night sky. But it can also feel heavy during long winters when travel is impossible and families remain cut off from the wider world. The daily labor required to survive is itself a challenge. Herding animals means waking before sunrise, spending hours in the saddle, repairing fences or shelters, and enduring weather of every kind. There are no weekends or days off, because animals must be cared for every single day. Milking, Feeding, shearing, and watching over the herds are constant tasks. For children, work begins at a young age, as they are expected to ride horses, round up goats, and help with milking. While this life teaches responsibility and independence, it is also exhausting and leaves little room for rest. The importance of preserving the nomadic spirit of Mongolia lies not only in keeping alive a way of life, but also in protecting a wisdom that has been shaped by centuries of living in harmony with the land. The nomads carry within them knowledge of the steppe, the mountains, and the desert, knowledge that cannot be found in books or classrooms but is passed down from parent to child, from grandparent to grandchild, through lived experience. This wisdom teaches how to read the clouds to tell when rain will come, how to feel the direction of the wind to guide a journey, and how to care for animals so they remain healthy and strong. It teaches respect for the land because without respect, survival is impossible. Preserving this spirit means ensuring that future generations continue to learn these lessons, even as the modern world changes around them. The nomadic spirit is also about freedom. It is the freedom of waking up in one valley and moving to another when the grass is greener or the water is fresher. It is the freedom of not being tied to buildings or roads, but instead letting the seasons and the animals decide where life will go next. This kind of freedom is rare in today's world, where so many people live in cities filled with noise, traffic, and walls that block the horizon. For the nomads, the sky is the only roof that truly matters, and the earth beneath their feet belongs to everyone. Preserving this spirit means remembering that freedom is not only about choice, but also about responsibility. The responsibility to live with nature rather than against it. Cultural traditions are another reason why the nomadic spirit is so valuable. Songs sung around the fire, stories told under the stars, and games played during festivals all reflect a unique identity that cannot be replaced. The sound of the horse-head fiddle, the sight of children racing across the steppe on ponies, and the rituals that honor ancestors and spirits are not only practices of the past, but living symbols of who the Mongolian people are. If these traditions were to disappear, the world would lose not just customs, but a window into a way of thinking and living that connects humanity deeply to the earth. Preserving the nomadic spirit ensures that these cultural treasures continue to inspire pride among Mongolians and wonder among people everywhere. The animals themselves are part of this spirit. Horses, camels, yaks, goats, and sheep are more than livestock. They are companions in life's journey. The nomadic way of raising and caring for animals shows a model of coexistence, where people and animals depend on each other in mutual trust. Modern agriculture often treats animals as numbers, but nomadic herding views them as partners. By preserving the nomadic spirit, the world is reminded of this bond and the respect it represents. It is a lesson in empathy, patience, and gratitude, values that are as important for the future as they were for the past. The environment of Mongolia also benefits when the nomadic spirit is preserved. Nomads do not build permanent structures or clear vast areas of land for farming. Instead, they move lightly across the steppe, allowing the earth to rest and recover. Their lifestyle leaves little behind but footprints and grazing trails. In an age when so much of the planet is suffering from overuse and destruction, this example of sustainable living becomes even more important. Preserving the nomadic spirit means preserving a way of life that teaches how humans can live without exhausting the land. It is a reminder that survival does not have to come at the cost of nature's destruction. Identity and belonging are also tied to the nomadic spirit. For children who grow up on the steppe, learning to ride a horse, to herd goats, or to sing the old songs is more than just daily activity. It is part of who they are. Even if they later move to the city, these memories and skills stay with them, shaping their sense of self. Without this spirit, future generations may feel cut off from their roots, uncertain of where they come from. Preserving it means giving young Mongolians a strong connection to their heritage, something that cannot be taken away no matter where they go. Finally, the nomadic spirit of Mongolia is important for the world as a whole. In a time when many societies are searching for balance between technology and nature, between progress and tradition, the nomads show that it is possible to live simply and fully, to honor the past while still moving forward. Their spirit is not only theirs to keep but a gift to humanity, a reminder that true wealth lies not in possessions or buildings, but in freedom, connection, and respect for the earth.